Okay, so this is me. And I want to speak a little bit about governance, but let me tell you a little bit about myself. So I'm a professor in Ben-Gurion University in Israel, which basically means that I have a research team and we write papers and we apply for grant money. If you want to see some paper, you can look at Nimrod Talmon at DBLP. It's like IMDb for papers. My main research is in computational and social choice and slower. Sure. It's because I drank Coke. So my main research is in computational and social choice, which means that I do game theory, mechanism design, and also some kind of algorithm analysis or combinatorial optimization. I also help this nice company named DAOs that maybe some of you know about. So let me tell you a little bit about my route, or what is computational and social choice, which is my main research field. So basically, in computational and social choice, we try to understand algorithms and protocols that will help a community reach decisions, basically. So stuff like preference aggregation, like choosing a community, or how to divide resources, like joint resources of some pool of resources, or do matching with preferences. And we do this by mathematical modeling and some game theoretical analysis. And we try to do it in a principled way that will allow us to develop good algorithms for community decisions. And then some time ago, I was reading more and more about DAOs. And my feeling is that somehow the DAO ecosystem is still largely immature in terms of the governance capabilities of DAOs. And especially this is, I could observe it by the limited scale of current DAOs, or like the decision-making process of current DAOs, and also by the nice introduction that Hillary, right? So Hillary gave before about the low participation rates in a lot of DAOs. And I think that one way to solve this and basically to be able to scale DAOs even larger and to a better extent is to scale the DAO governance that we use. So what are the most standard DAO governance systems that people use today? This is what I call a reality-aware proposal-based direct democracy. Basically means that you have the status quo, or the reality. This is like the current set of rules. And now people can give proposals. And each proposal is basically a binary proposal. So either to keep the status quo if the proposal is rejected, or to accept the proposal and then the status quo changes. Roughly like Brexit. So if Brexit passes, then the status quo changes, so the reality changes, and if Brexit does not pass, then it does not pass, and the status quo remains, which is a nice system, but it's very simple, and it has some inherent scalability issue, because if you want like a very big DAO, so this is what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about a really huge DAO that wants to be flexible in its governance capabilities. So there are going to be many proposals all the time. And basically DAO members are now faced with this increased rain of proposals all the time. And maybe, this is one of the reasons I think that the participation rates are quite low, because it's simply hard to do this. So in a way, what we need to deal with is somehow this conflict between the desire to make many proposals, to make the DAO alive and flexible in its governance capabilities. And this is conflicting with the limited time that actually people have to devote to participation in such decision-making processes. So there are some other ideas that, at least from my perspective, they try to solve it, at least partially. So Compan has this liquid democracy, this concept of delegation, which is also used in other settings. And this, in a way, if I am a member in some community and there are many proposals that are coming, so many decisions that I have to make, but if I can name one delegate or several delegates that will make the decision on my behalf, then this basically saves a lot of time and attention on my behalf. There's also this nice idea of optimistic voting, and also holographic consensus by DAOs. And there are many others. If you know of others, I will be happy to hear about them later. But still, I think that the current state of the art, at least in the DAO ecosystems, there are some solutions, but they are not really sufficiently well understood. And this is partially because the way they are developed is not in a principled way. And this also causes the current situation, which DAO governance tools are not optimal in a way. And what I'm trying to imagine is whether there are ways to develop better governance systems for DAOs that will somehow solve this conflict between flexibility and limited attention or limited time better. And this somehow relates to this field of study, computational social choice, which I'm coming from, because there we basically try to view such settings in a very abstract and formal way and try to develop properties that we want those systems to have and really find like better ways to analyze the properties of this system and optimize certain behaviors that we want. So this is the way I'm viewing this kind of problem. So the problem of doing governance at scale, so with really huge communities and really flexible decision making. And what I suggest and what I try to do is basically the following blueprint. So I think that it should start with some, everything is okay? Okay, good. So what I suggest is something like this. So it should start with some mathematical modeling of the problem, very, very abstract, and then coupled with some data analysis. This will allow to really have a unified way of presenting certain solution approaches. And then when we have these solution approaches formalized in a unified way due to our mathematical modeling and using the data analysis that we used, then we can do some simulations and then we can write prototype and see really like the properties of these systems and not simply use whatever tools we could find off the shelf. So let me delve a little bit into each of these things, right? So mathematical modeling looks something like this. So you look at the system, you lay down on the sofa, you close your eyes and you think what the system should look like, and then you write something like this. Which is actually interesting also from the scientific point of view, because as I told you in computational social choice, we do these kind of things. So this is just, okay, this is Dachstuhl Castle in Germany, and this is Lawrence Center in University of Leiden, where I just attended 2 conferences of this community. So, I mean, these kind of people, they know how to do this mathematical modeling, but still some ingredients that are used for our setting are still missing, like with I mean, this problem is much involved because the communities are dynamic. So you want the solution to be robust, even to the setting in which community members come and go. And also the decision making should happen in a continuous way. And usually works in this field are rather discrete, or even like one time. So you imagine a community and you want to make like one decision and you want to find good algorithms for this one decision. So there's some things to be done like on the purely scientific level. Okay, but this is like the first part of mathematical modeling. After we have this, we can do, or actually in parallel, we can do some data analysis. So before, I mean, some nice stuff that DeepDAO was doing was also presented. So they basically, I mean, they have a lot of data about DAOs, and I think what should happen is basically to take this data and analyze really what is the causes of these low participation rates and whether we can really improve it. So if we have data from DeepDAO or Snapshot or whatever, then we are able to do some kind of comparison between different algorithms, right? Because we have some data and some mathematical modeling to help it. So, and then after this, I think that what we should do is basically to chart like all of the solution approaches that we can find and unify them in a way. So I try to do this. I think that basically what are the general solutions that should help for this centralized governance problem. So there is, so in the middle you can see these delegation-based methods like liquid democracy that companies using. In cryptoeconomic method, I think that the best example is holographic consensus, maybe also optimistic voting. Basically the idea of optimistic is that everything passes unless somebody objects, and then there is some nice economical game of who objects and how she or he objects. Holographic consensus, the general idea is to use some kind of a prediction market to help the community understand which proposal should pass or not in a very, very vague way. And something else which is, at least as far as I know, is not really used in DAOs, is sampling-based method. This is used in, I think, in the US and UK for selecting jurors, basically. I mean, you have the whole population and you sample a really small sample from the population and you make the decision based on this sample. So if you can do this sampling in the controlled way, then maybe we can really allow for having more decisions, basically. What I didn't put it is machine learning, which also I think could help, but I'm not sure yet. Okay, so after we have this, basically, what I really think that we should strive for is something like a big, complicated solution, which is parameterized, so you can configure it to specific DAOs. So then imagine that you have this weird machine that is composed of all of these ingredients that I tried to sketch before, and it has some parameters, so you can tune it. Or so you, I mean, like a DAO can tune it on the run whenever they go. And then what I think should happen, so a DAO could start with something like this, which combines this sampling-based method, this some kind of cryptoeconomic ideas for helping this, for helping the decision making, and also some liquid democracy kind of solution altogether. And then as the community evolves, these parameters should change, and basically this general solution should adapt to the different size and the different type of the DAO. So this is somehow the overall sketch that I propose. Okay, so this is basically what I wanted to say. I think that it's important to scale up basically the governance system or the governance algorithms and protocols that DAOs are using. But this should happen properly. What I mean properly is like in a principled way. And this will allow to scale up DAOs to have like really massive collaborations happening in DAOs. Thanks. If there are questions, I will be happy. If not, then it's also fine. Yes? Was it slow enough? Relatively, okay.
I have no problem with being a native speaker or understanding an Israeli accent, so you'd have to ask somebody else.
Okay.
So my question is about multiple proposals. Right now, you're just talking about, as far as I can tell, yes, no. Like there's a proposal, yes, no. But how do you anticipate DAOs could work better towards, hey, we have a problem, here are 4 different proposals, which seems like a better method of governance?
Yeah, see, this is a good question. So basically, as far as I know, most of the DAOs today use these binary decisions. Basically, they use the status quo and some, but I think that there are some other things. So if you go in Snapshot, you see some other stuff. I mean, there are some algorithms for making good decisions for, let's say, more complicated types of decisions. So you can have like a set of proposals and you want to rank them. I mean, you can let people rank them, you can let people approve subsets of them, and then you can run some algorithms. What I'm not sure is how to somehow plug it into like the governance system of the DAO, because I mean, a simple way will be that, okay, everything we do in this way, but this is not flexible enough. So I mean, I don't have a really good answer to how to really solve it. One maybe slightly abstract way is basically you can view any decision as, so I mean, if you have like a space of all of the proposals, then you can try to develop like a unified, very generic kind of proposal system, which is not only like binary, but could encompass everything in like the same UI or same idea, but it's not clear how to really decide each decision, what is the like the ballot type that it should apply to. I see. I mean, I view it basically as 2 orthogonal components. I mean, you can scale up a binary proposal system, and you can scale up ranking systems, and you can scale up unified system. But I think that, I mean, if you want to then integrate those 2 advances, you will have to do some work, but I don't think that it will be too much work. So this is why I'm fairly safe. I mean, I feel safe in scaling binary proposals. Okay, thanks.